Hello, fellow pirates. It is Fearsome here, and I kind of wanted to, in this video, kind of voice some of my concerns for how more than likely, Pirate 101 PvP and more importantly, Pirate 101 combat is probably going to be approached. So, I um, I actually agree with some of the current approaches that King Zhao's been making. For example, first-time player experience, I think is huge. I think one of the biggest turnoffs as far as this game goes is definitely the ship combat. By far, okay? It's just button mashing. That's it. Button mashing. No skill, no aiming camp cannon, no strategic plays you can really make, no meaningful strategic plays. So it's like ship combat definitely needs a massive rework. I think that that needs to be prioritized, possibly before regular combat is fixed. So and that leads me to my next point. I'm not this person who just cares about PvP. I hope I never gave that impression in the first place. If it wasn't for the fact that I tried to get a, champion weapon legit, I probably wouldn't be doing PvP at all. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it's a very important opportunity for end game content. I just don't want to give you all the idea that that's all I really care about. Anyhow, um, that being said, I think that the quality of PvP itself depends a lot upon the combat, the quality of the combat, which also plays into first-time player experience. So one of the classes that I think was approached in a very shallow and meaningless way, and over the last 4 or 5 years, would be the class of Witch Doctor. So the whole idea of Witch Doctor over the last 4 or 5 years has been that they would spam summons and use scratch and stuff like that. But there are some issues with that. The main one being that if you use old scratch, the added RNG with criticals and damage rolls means that you could take a unit from half health or you could kill completely. So I mean the damage and critical roll needs to be reworked significantly. Um, I have a couple of suggestions. I'll get to those at the end of the video. But on the class of Witch Doctor, I think really the best approach is to allow them to specialize on a particular type of map, as I think every class should, or at least at a very specific type of role. Because I don't think that the game, as far as every class, will ever be perfectly balanced. I think that you're about as close as you'll get. I think maybe like right after Marylebone, I think was about as close as you could get to classes being somewhat balanced between each other. And even then, it wasn't perfect. I mean, Musketeers, for example, back then were utter garbage. So, that being said, my solution for the whole Witch Doctor problem, well, it's not a huge problem. You could just choose not to play Witch Doctor. There are certainly bigger problems. My whole solution would be to add some larger maps to the game. Because, you see, Witch Doctor, if getting second churn and spawning behind a pillar, they basically have no they have no range advantage. For example, say a Buccaneer charges down the map. They could get there on 2 turns. So if the Witch Doctor is behind a pillar and they get second churn, the first turn is given to the Buccaneer, and the second turn, while they're trying to get out from behind the pillar, they have a Buccaneer in their face, hacking away at them. And because the chaining meta is so out of hand, you could, I mean, well, let's just give you an example. Bonnie Ann could kill, 2 units just like that. Just completely wipe 2 full health units just like that, based off the criticals and the chains and all that. So chains, first of all, need to be split. Okay, I'm not in favor of completely getting rid of chains. Okay, also the fact that burst fire and relay and stuff like that is at 35%. I think the best way to resolve this would be to make them more consistent. Okay, and you're thinking, how would they be any type of depth to the game? Well, we have reactionary epics like First Strike and Vengeance Strike and True Grit and stuff like that. So that would kind of help to make it strategic and make it varied. Okay, so basically, my proposed fix for that would be to separate Relentless and Blade Storm. Okay, you don't need both every single turn. I think when you use a card, you should use your Blade Storms, and they should be like guaranteed 3 hits. Maybe some type of small bonus, like a weapon power increase. Okay, that would just last that turn. Say, I don't know, like 10% or something like that. Nothing huge. Uh, Maybe it'd stack a little bit more. Maybe it'd add another 5% each time it hit. That would be a cool rank 5 type of thing. Okay. It would keep damage under control. Damage spikes, it certainly would. It would allow for more strategic play. Reland wise, I think that Reland and its variants should be for basic hits because, as the name implies, it is relentless. It's like, okay, I have nothing else. I will just keep attacking with my bare hands, which basically fits in perfectly with the idea of it being something that triggers after a basic hit where no card is being used. Okay, now they have to be careful about implementing this because it can't trigger off of other epics. Like, for example, say you Blade Storm or you Vengeance Strike or something like that. It can't trigger off those. It has to trigger off of starting with a basic attack. So they have to be careful about implementing that. So that's my fix for the whole chaining meta. And that right there, um, I think witch doctors would be much more brought up to par. I don't think that they would be the most powerful class based off of those two changes right there. I think they would definitely have to play on larger maps to still be good. I think one thing that they could definitely do is they could eliminate spawn RNG completely. Okay, players should not be spawning behind pillars. Okay, the whole first turn, second turn thing. This is something that's more optional. I don't think they necessarily need to add this, but they could have it to where you can't move past the bomb zone. The bomb zone being where fires light up if you do big guns. They could do that, so you couldn't do that the first turn. They kind of do something similar in rank where they freeze your pirate in position, which I don't really think that's necessary. I mean, you could. I mean, that could work if everyone is spawned uh, outside of the pillars, or I should say, not behind them. That could also work. I don't think that that's a huge thing that needs to change. I think that one thing that could benefit the game a lot is to eliminate deck RNG. And I don't want to be one of those people who just throws around the word RNG a lot, but I will from time to time. Um, I don't think that all RNG is necessarily bad. It just can't have a major effect on the game. It has to be kind of like weather. It would have to add some type of spice to the game, and that would be its main function. It wouldn't be to determine the outcome of matches. Certainly not to the extent that it does now. So yeah, deck RNG. Before I get too sidetracked, deck RNG is basically your cards showing up in random positions. Like, I'm gonna use my pirate for an example. Let's just say I put Veiler's Rampart on the very first slot. And for some reason, I'm playing the entire game, and sometime on, say, the last hand of my entire game, I finally get to pull this power. I think that that's frankly outrageous. I think that some type of consistency needs to be there. Um, I mean, maybe the first 7 powers can be like protected; those show up in exactly or you range them. I'm personally in favor of having all cards show up exactly how you have them arranged. But yeah, you could have some protected slots. That's an idea right there. You could do treasure card type of things where you burn a card and you pull from a treasure side deck. I mean, they had that in Wiz for a little while. I don't know if they still do. But once again, I don't think it should exist at all. But those are some possible solutions if KingsIsle does have their heart set on you know, having some type of deck RNG, you know. Um, any of those suggestions I made would definitely help a lot. Um, now, um, the other thing is, I already talked about epics. Okay, now I think it's about time I talked about how criticals should work. So they kind of realized this in Wizard 101. Okay, so criticals are simply double the damage. At least they were in Wizard 101 for the longest time. But KingsIsle at some point realized that that was a little bit too much, and having a critical chance being the main function of the critical stat was a little dumb. And they made it also affect how much damage you did as well, so that the critical stat would mean a little bit more than just mere RNG. Which I think they should do something like that in Pirates. To be honest, I don't think that it should be even a chance. I think really it should be a flat amount of extra damage based off of the base stat. Okay, I don't think it should trigger other things like Blade Storm and double tap and stuff like that. That could honestly be completely eliminated. I think that Critical's special role in the game is basically to do to do to do to do to do to do base stat damage. Say you're Buccaneer versus a Musketeer, it allows you to specialize more against Musketeer. So your epic strikes um, and your ability strikes and all that, they do more damage versus certain types of units. So that's basically what its rule would do. It would affect it would give you a boost in mojo power and weapon power based on the base stat ratio. I don't think it should even be huge. I believe like the math and all that, the precise math up to whoever would be dealing with that. Presumably, it'd probably be Ratbeard. I think he could come up with a good equation on how that might happen, a good function for it. So I'm gonna leave that part up to people like that. Uh, but I think that would be a good basis for a critical system. Now the damage rules, I don't even know why they quite exist. I don't think that they're necessary. You could certainly just get rid of them and make everything the same base damage roll. Basically, what is on the card itself, um, to make things less confusing for the player. That would certainly be great. Now, there are a couple more things that would be kind of cool to change. I don't think Vengeance Strike should stun opponents with a 35% chance. I think a better approach would be to add kind of a jarring effect to players. It would either reduce a certain amount of their accuracy. Well, to be honest, I don't like the accuracy stat too much either. Reduce a certain amount of their damage, say like 5% each time you hit or something like that. I think that would be a much healthier approach because it's like a 35% chance, man. That's more akin to flipping a coin. It's like that wins or loses games. I think the most stun should be ability based. You using a card as opposed to, oh, I have a chance of stunning. I think that that makes the game a lot less frustrating because people are more likely to live with something that they see as their own mistake. Okay, but when it's obscured by too much RNG, I don't mean to use that as a catchphrase or something like that, but I think it's kind of relevant here. I think they're less likely to be frustrated. Okay, I mean, how many people are frustrated by chess matches? No, they know that. Okay, I played wrong. I would be in this situation if I played better. And it's simple, okay? It's simple like that. And that's kind of my hope for this game. Um, those are the main things that need to change. Well, there's one more thing, okay? Now I think of it. Accuracy and dodge, okay? And this one might throw some people off. I'm not even entirely sure about it myself, but I don't think that the RNG factor, the 5%, is necessarily a good thing. Okay, I don't see this as changing. I think there'll be way too much pushback, but it would be kind of cool if if there were basically the idea that you would guarantee hit unless said otherwise, unless a dodge were induced by a particular ability. Let's take Shadow Dance, for example. Instead of Shadow Dance doing a critical boost, it could give you a certain number of guaranteed dodges. Okay? Maybe a First Strike would give a guaranteed dodge, one guaranteed dodge, if it were a certain rank. Say if we're rank 5. That could be its effect. It would give you one guaranteed dodge. There you go. That's how accuracy and dodge would work. It would basically be induced by epics or cards. That's how I think that it would be best worked as. I think that if regular accuracy and dodge were removed from the game and were replaced with a system like that, I think that would be kind of cool. I think that would help things a lot. And y'all might be thinking, oh, Frenzy's going to be OP. Well, I mean, there are changes that could happen to Frenzy if that does happen. Frenzy, if you are not familiar, it takes 5% of someone's health in exchange for, well, I mean, for a hit, basically. So if you do 5%, that means you can only hit 20 times. That's it. Okay? People frenzy themselves to death. I think that the way to approach that would simply be to make it so that instead of taking 5% damage, maybe take, 7% damage or 10% damage. They could mess around the numbers until they find something that works. But the main point of this video is I don't think that balance is the main direction this game should go in. I think it should be fixing the core mechanics that I've just mentioned. Because the Pirate 101 community, unlike the Wizard 101 community, isn't, constantly queuing up in rank and forced to deal with the same stuff. Everyone in Pirate 101 currently does spar PvP, and I think that KingsIsle should be somewhat grateful of that because they could save themselves a lot of work by just letting the community be and let them, just continue to do spar PvP. I don't think that rate PvP is important at all. Now, I'm sure I'll draw some flack because, I mean, there are quite a few Wiz players who occasionally come back to Pirate 101 and they'll be like, wait, no, I gotta have my solo queue. I'll tell you right now, the active Pirate 101 PvP community and most of the people who would take the game seriously, instead of occasional vagrants from Wiz, no offense to y'all, I love Wiz players, but y'all are wrong about some stuff. Yeah, basically, they would keep it in the spar. They don't want to risk having to play with something completely broken. Like currently in ranked PvP, Scratch is a thing. The maps are way too small, and Spar and RNG is absolutely outrageous. Spawn RNG is absolutely outrageous. So, I mean, pretty much all range classes are doomed from the start. Summons are things, so you have to sit through all the summons while they make their turn. And by the way, summons aren't even a balance issue per se, but they're more of a, I'm playing PvP. I want to play against another player who's making meaningful moves, but I have to sit through AI making their moves. Instead, I play PvP to play against players. Why do I have to play against the AI? So y'all kind of understand why some people make rules against using summons. They don't want to sit through a summon spam. So, yeah, that's basically why. That's it. We just like to have choices. If like for example, I could hop in the spar chamber and I could choose to fight with just companions, or I could choose to fight banning the new pieces of gear so that I would, have a fair chance of fighting another player who has all that. And then I could do a tournament where they allow more stuff, like all the new gear and potentially some stuff that's, conventionally banned. It's like we have choices, and I think that that's the way things should be. We should fix what we can avoid, and then and only then should we really go back and look at balance changes. Okay, one more shout out. One more shout out for this video on a change that I think is needed. That would be the fort glitch. Okay? The fort glitch, if you're not familiar, is basically where in a 4v4, if you put on a time protection, it does not wear off at all. Now you see, this is a big problem because you could stack those things on, and you would basically be immune. Having just one Buccaneer at the fort that doesn't wear off is already just way too outrageous. You need to be able to purge that thing off. Okay, it needs to be able to wear off as well. So, yeah. Basically, that killed 4v4s. And back in the day, you can kind of look up Envy, which was a team that kind of existed back then. They were big stuff. Like, they got thousands of views on all their videos, pretty much. And they're not terribly good videos either. It's not like they do anything but put music behind a PvP match. But those were kind of viewed as like the big football games of the game. That's basically what they were. People took those things very seriously. Envy versus Fury, ask any old player about that. I mean, they'll tell you about Envy versus Fury, okay? That was like a big, big game. And they'll tell you about the Sky Marines, and they'll tell you about, gosh, what was the other one? Assassin Strike, Team Assassin Strike. Dude, it used to be the thing to 4v4 in this game. This game was almost built for 4v4s, man. If they fix the fort glitch, dude, that will bring back a significant amount of the player base, and it'll give the rest of us something very entertaining to watch. It's like kind of like, I mean, how many of y'all play football, right? A decent amount, very few people, really do play football. How many people watch the big football games? They watch their hometown play. They watch, like, I'm from Louisiana. Everyone talks about the Saints. Everyone talks about the Tigers. Kind of the same thing for Pirate. It's a huge opportunity. They need to fix the fort glitch so players can do it again, and so that they can, watch some really amazing PvP content. Um, so, yeah. What else do I want to talk about? All right. Pets. Pets need to be addressed too. Okay. Pets are a great opportunity for PvE, not just PvP. Okay. I think that more PvE players would be interested in if they gave certain buffs, like let's just say that they increased bosses' drop rates, or they gave more gold, or they gave more XP or nautical, or you could get like buffs like that, those sorts of buffs. I think also making it so that it doesn't take a day or so to train a pet once and get not even one level sometimes. I think that needs to be addressed, and how that could be addressed. They could cap it off at a certain number of hours, 2, 3, 4 hours, or something like that. That would be like the way that they would kind of cap it off. They could do that. That would certainly be a good place to start. Some other suggestions would be, uh, members could hurry their pet for gold instead of crowns. It could be a lot of gold. I mean, players always have a lot of extra gold, and that would make farming, even more of a thing. Okay. It would also give like a compensation sort of prize, like, oh, I didn't get my drop, but hey, look, I got all this gold. I can hurry my pet a little bit. So, something to throw out there. I think Kinsale would be. I think that if they could implement that, it would definitely help a lot. Um, and these would be. I think that these would be everything that I mentioned so far. There's a reason I talk about this instead of, oh, we need to fix rank PvP. Oh, this companion's more powerful than this other companion. Oh, this class is more powerful than that class. Oh, this ability is too powerful. Look, guys, as far as that sort of thing goes, we could just choose not to use it. Everything else I've mentioned in this video, it's kind of something you have to deal with, minus what I just said with the whole pet situation. I mean, you could just choose not to use pets, but I mean, come on. Come on, pets are important. They're a huge potential for the game. So anyhow, that's it for this video. Um, Glad to have gotten all of this off my chest, and I hope to make another rant video sometime when I have something else to talk about. Peace.